Hi, I'm Frank Rogan, the product manager for Quosal for ACT, and on today's video, we're going to take you on a tour of all the touch points between Quosal for ACT and ACT itself, all the things that you can edit and manipulate, whether it's creating or updating opportunities, setting activities, or even adding things to your product list within ACT. All right, let's just get started. All right, for this demo, I've set up a typical quote situation for a small imaginary IT firm, and we'll be using the ACT demo database and the demo database's sales processes. Now, the first thing we'll note is that Quosal for ACT's integration with the ACT API is truly seamless. In fact, I don't even have ACT running while I'm working with Quosal for ACT. Quosal for ACT works correctly with the ACT API to pass its data back and forth and doesn't ever actually manipulate the ACT database tables themselves, which is an important consideration for maintaining the integrity of the database. All right, so we're quoting hardware in the form of 2 laptops, software in the form of copies of Office 2010 for the laptops, and services representing our associates' time to install and train the customer. Note that the source for our hardware and software products is the electronics distributor Ingram Micro using the Quosal for ACT real-time pricing module. On the other hand, the source for the service contract is the ACT database itself. We'll come back later and look at how Quosal for ACT works with the ACT product database. Next, we'll take a look at the customer for this quote. Now, I've already attached Jim Curtis from the ACT demo database. From the customers panel, we can search for contacts in your ACT database and attach them to quotes. Moreover, I can edit the local copy of this data so I can manipulate the quote to, send to, ship to, and bill to options for this quote. So I've gone ahead and created this quote as a PDF. And I can deliver this to the customer however I see fit, either in an email or a fax. In this case, I've already emailed the quote to the customer, which we'll see reflected on the Contacts History tab in ACT. Now, the best means of delivery, of course, is Quosal's Order Porter feature, which is also available for Quosal for ACT, but that's another video. Now, my next step will be to follow up my quote with several actions in ACT, which is all done under the Customers panel right here. You can even see here that Quosal is reminding me that I need to update the opportunity. First, we'll create this opportunity, and we'll give it a unique name. We'll call this Quosal Opportunity 9.3. Next, we'll set the appropriate stage for the opportunity process. We'll call this Sales, and we'll call this our initial communication, and we'll give it a probability of 10. We'll leave reason and competitor blank since we're opening this opportunity. But if we had lost this opportunity, we could edit those here too. And we'll go ahead and update this opportunity. All right, let's schedule a follow-up activity for this quote. We'll remind ourselves to give this prospect a call next week about the quote we're giving him today. Right here from the Customers panel, we're going to add this activity. We're going to make this a call. We're going to schedule this a week from today. And we don't need to create a timeless activity, and we don't need to create a full-day banner on our calendar. Now, our call will be regarding our sent quote, and we'll go ahead and we'll give it a high priority and schedule that activity. Next, I'll add an attachment to this contact. Now, let's imagine that I have a document of notes from a conversation with this customer, and I want to save it in ACT with the contact information. I simply locate my notes, I add them, and I upload the attachment right from Quosal. Now, our next step, let's say we want to add a note. So let's add a quick note to this contact, maybe something to follow up with down the road. Jim was interested in some additional services. I can go ahead and add this note. And if I had an optional file, I would add that as well. And that note has been saved. All right, let's jump into ACT 2011 and see how it all ended up. All right, we've started ACT 2011, and now we're going to see how all the data we entered in Quosal ended up in ACT. First, we're over here on the contact screen for our imaginary customer, who you'll recall was Jim Curtis from the ACT demo database. Now, Quosal has automated this contact history, noting that we sent him a quote, and a PDF of the quote has been attached to this history entry. Switching over to the Notes tab, we see the note that we entered in Quosal has been added to the contact record, along with any attachment that we might have added. Over to Activities, we see that the follow-up activity has been created for this contact record, and that's reflected in other areas of ACT as well, of course, such as the calendar. I'll go over to the calendar, and here we are on September 10th, and here's the activity that we scheduled to follow up with Jim Curtis. So let's go over to opportunities. We'll see that our opportunity has been created in Quosal and associated with this contact. So we're going to go ahead and open up this opportunity. So this opportunity is reflected here exactly as we set it up in Quosal, with the sales process, stage, and probability figures. Let's switch over to the Products and Services tab. We see everything reflected here as well: the hardware, the software, and the service contract. Now, drilling down even further, we can see that the hardware and software we quoted has been added to the ACT product database. Finally, let's talk about 3 buttons. So here in the opportunity, there are 2 Quosal buttons. Pressing the first starts Quosal and opens the quote associated with this opportunity. However, if no quote exists, pressing this button opens Quosal to a blank quote ready for you to start editing. The second button is related to Quosal's Order Porter feature, our online delivery method for quotes and proposals. Now, pressing this button opens a browser and opens the Order Porter quote or proposal associated with this opportunity. So I've gone ahead and created an Order Porter quote here so you can see the button in action. Now, for more information about Order Porter, I recommend you check out our other videos at Quosal.com, especially the 10-minute tour of Order Porter. Finally, let's go back to our contact, and there's our third button for Quosal. Now, clicking this button opens Quosal to a blank quote with that contact's data automatically attached. And you're ready to start the quoting process from the beginning. Well, I hope you enjoyed your tour through Quosal for ACT and all of its touch points with ACT. You can find this video and many others like it at www.quosal.com under the Videos tab. Thanks, and have a great day.